All right, I got a bag full of bags here. These are reusable silicone. Um, I guess you could liken them to Ziploc, but they're not quite the same. So these have been opened before. One of the bags is in use right now, so it's not included here. But typically, at least the listing that I got these from, have 3 of the big guys, 3 of the middle-sized guys, and 2 of the small ones. Along with this thing comes in really handy. I'll show you why in a minute. Let's talk about the bags first. So this is the second set of these bags that I've gotten. One bag I got a few years ago. It seemed to be closer to the first generation of these that were in circulation, and the bag itself was a lot thicker, but I don't think the thickness did it any good. I think it just made it more bulky, a little bit more difficult to deal with, and didn't really have much benefit to it. These guys are a little bit thinner in comparison, but they're still plenty thick. I really don't think a bag needs to be any thicker than that. If you're doing some heavy duty stuff with it, maybe, but for practical purposes, no. All right, so the way these guys work is this bar here just slides off. Bag opens, boom. Some people have some trouble getting the bar back on here, so just as a little suggestion for you, first of all, make sure you're some of these you can put them on one way but not the other, and I would suggest not trying to slide it on this way because this is going to get in the way, right? So just find the little track, line it up, and if you just push it on there, it can give you problems sometimes. But what I find works best is if you kind of pinch right in front of it and slide, it keeps it together there. And then when you get to the end, if you want to squeeze some air out of it, you can pop that open and slide it the rest of the way. They're pretty easy to use. And as you see, this is how the bottom folds out. So when this is full, it would stand up. Sorry for not having something that is full that I can give you a demo with, but I really don't think you really need all that in-depth information on it anyway. Once you get it, you're gonna know what to do with it. Now, another thing I'll mention to you is the cleaning method for this. What I like to do is, instead of really trying to reach in here and get it all cleaned out, just turn it inside out to begin with. So turn it inside out. That way you can get all these little crevices in through here. Otherwise they're a little more difficult to get clean. These didn't have an instruction to soak them in salt water before use, but I did get a pair in the past that did. And so that's what I typically do with these. They've got some spots on there. I don't know if I got all the salt off of there, but I'm not sure exactly why the instructions called for soaking in salt water, but I assume it's just to make sure that any kind of finishing products come off of there before you use it. So that's what I do with these now. Soak them up. All right, this guy. This will accommodate most. I mean, it'll accommodate all the bags. You don't have to worry about that. What you'd do is you'd clip that into the jaws of this if you're trying to fill it up. So just slide that in there, slide this in here, adjust it to whatever height you need it to be in order for the bag to open properly. And keep in mind, this isn't a very heavy base there, but this does give you a way to hold the bag open while you're pouring stuff into it. I would make sure that when you do, you're pouring it in without the bag being suspended, okay? So I'd make sure that there's contact between the base of the bag and the base of this holder when pouring it in there. Be careful if it's hot stuff. I think this is probably geared more toward allowing you to not get burned from pouring hot liquid or whatnot into this bag. But I know that if I was pouring something in there and this started to tip, I'd probably grab at it. So just be wary when it comes to that. I don't use it for that very often because it tends to stay open pretty well on its own. But what I do use these for are drying the bags. You can put it on there like this, or the other way. That way if you want. Whatever the case may be, as long as you are keeping this bag open when it's drying, it's going to dry a lot faster. If they're in contact, I mean, it wants to, when you hold it like this, it wants to go closed. So if you're just hanging this up or you're just laying it on the rack, might not get that dry. If you keep it inside out and dry it, that's what I suggest. I pop it inside out, that way the outside of it gets very, very dry, and then turn it right side out and dry it a little bit more. To me, it's just more important to have the interior of this bag dry. That way there's no chance of any moldy, musty bacteria stuff getting in there and coming in contact with your food. Okay, so here's size reference. So 3 of these guys. I don't know what I can throw in there. There you go, size reference. 220, big baller. That's not that Jackson. Okay, so that's it. I really like these. I haven't had any issues with the other set getting stained. I am kind of embarrassed because I didn't look at these beforehand, and it does look like they've got some residue on them. I've used a lot of silicone in my time, bakeware and such, and this is a problem that I have with most of it. It just develops a film on there. And these have not been in a dishwasher, so it's not really the dishwasher that does it. I'm not really sure what it is, but all it takes is a nice wipe to get it off of there. Like I said, I do kind of think I just didn't get all the salt off of there when I soaked these guys, because none of these have been used. They've been washed, but they haven't been used. Only the one large bag that I took out of here has been used. So anyway, if you do the salt soak, just make sure you get them really well rinsed off. And don't get your bars mixed up. These are the same, but these are not. So you're gonna have a couple different bar sizes with these. Anyway, I really like these. Check them out. They're bulkier than a typical disposable sandwich bag, but you're not having to dispose of them. And if you are environmentally minded, or you need something that's more reliably closable than a zip pouch, then these guys are the way to go, because this keeps it squeezed down there pretty well. I haven't had any leak issues, but then again, I'm not running around with it upside down trying either. Maybe I should. Check them out. If you get them, I hope you enjoy them.